I came across a really interesting video put together by The Recount where they break down this somewhat of a strategy by a lot of these election deniers to run for Secretary of State so that they're in a position that in many states has a lot of authority over the election process, and in the next election be able to do what they all hoped they could have done in the 2020 election, which was kind of give the election to Trump unlawfully, unconstitutionally, against the will of the people. So I'm going to show this to you. Very fascinating and scary.
Time when I didn't know who the secretaries of state all across the country were. Secretary of State is a weird office. Federally, it's our chief diplomat. Fly across the world, negotiate deals, get embroiled in years-long controversies, normal stuff. But at the state level, it's something completely different. They primarily oversee elections. And in an ideal world, we wouldn't know who these mid-level bureaucrats are. But 2022 is not an ideal world. So instead, we're now watching the office be transformed into ground zero of efforts to overturn our election and turn bat conspiracy theories into official government policy. 35 states elect their secretaries of state, and 27 are on the ballot this year. In at least 10 of those races, including some top swing states key to the 2024 presidential election, Republicans are nominating candidates who back the lie that the 2020 election was stolen and want to change the way elections are run to retroactively reflect that. Some of them are guaranteed to win. Some don't have a chance, but others are in real toss-up races and just so happen to be in some of the most important swing states. 3 out of 5 of the states Biden flipped blue in 2020, Nevada, Arizona, and Michigan, have far-right election deniers vying to be in charge of the election process.
Okay, so that kind of gives you a sense. These election denier candidates are running in states where Biden won, some of them by a pretty thin margin, and running on the fact that they believe the election was stolen, that they would want to flip the results for Trump in that situation. And that is super scary. So this is how it's done. This is what's so fascinating about this is they scream, the election was stolen, the election was stolen. And now they're pursuing a situation where they could actually steal an election, not through some weird plot by machine flipping votes, but by them actively putting themselves in roles where they can very unconstitutionally, and how this would break down in the moment, I don't know, but reject election results and have a process where they can invalidate different, counties' votes and all those types of things, or precincts. So I'm really kind of in a panic about this. Hopefully these individuals lose. This is why it's so important that you go vote and you get educated on candidates that you normally wouldn't. The Secretary of State, who's running in my state for the Secretary of State position. Look into that. Vote for the correct person and make sure that we keep these people out of office, because part of what held the 2020 election together, despite all of Trump's attempts to overturn it and all of his allies going across the country trying to convince state legislatures to throw those vote counts out, is the fact that we had people in states like Georgia, in states like Arizona, who stood against those claims and said, listen, I'm just doing my job. There's no signs of fraud. We're going to move forward with the proper election results. And that's why we didn't see a situation where Trump was wrongfully, kept in power. And so this matters. This is how we would lose our democracy. This is the threat that we talk about so often to our democratic process, is people who don't believe in our legitimate elections, who want to just give the election to the person they support regardless of the election results. And that's hugely terrifying.